I'm Jim DaCosta, spokesperson of the Faculty Honors Committee here at Fairfield Warde High School. The purpose of our committee is to secure and safeguard in a central location the awards and certificates representing the excellence, academic accomplishments, and memorials of our staff, teachers, coaches, and administrators. Our special recognition of legendary teachers is to provide a view into the excellence, accomplishments, and atmosphere of each generation of teachers going back as far as we can in the history of our school. We have safeguarded as far back as the 1970s with the inclusion of Coach Fern Tetreault, teacher Bob Gillette, and others. And we hope you'll enjoy the current segment and the history of our program. Thank you. I want to recognize and thank Duncan Delavolpe. He has handled all of the arrangements with Dan's family and friends. I'm going to ask Dan's family and friends who have come to come forward and join me here in the front. Okay, and Duncan. So if you've come for Dan, please come forward. Are you guys, come on, Father. I appreciate this. Thanks. To those of you who have come to celebrate Dan's life, I assure you that his spirit and his memory is in excellent company. At the end of our ceremony, you will see the room which houses our faculty honors display. You'll find photographs of Jack Strauss, Paul Corwell, and Rick Natalie, each a beloved colleague who died too young. To demonstrate the living memory of these faculty members, I ask those of you who remember Jack Strauss, who were in the building when he was teaching, and who were his students, to please stand. The same for Paul Corwell. I overlapped with Paul. I remember him well. If you were one of Paul Corwell's students, or friend, or colleague who was here when Paul Corwell was teaching, please stand. Rick Natalie is our next most recent loss. If you were one of Rick's students, colleagues, friends, please stand. Dan's family and friends, this is the company in which Dan's spirit and memory is going to be held. Please stay standing. At this point, I'm going to add Dan's friends and former teachers. Dan graduated in 2007. That means if you were a member of the class of 2004 or 5 or 6 or 7, or if you were in Dan's class, if you were in the building, stand. And if you were a freshman or sophomore when Dan was here, if you were a class 2008, 2009, 2010, if you played sports with Dan, please stand. You can see it's nearly all of us. I'd like to get a sense of who's come. So I'm going to pass the mic and have you simply tell us who you are, what your relationship was to Dan, and you can take the opportunity to say a few words if you like.
I'm Tim Talley, I'm Dan's father.
Okay, we're working now. Okay, hold on.
I'm Arnie Dan's mom.
I'm Dan's brother.
I'm Kristen Warde, and Dan's sister-in-law.
I'm calling Dan's sister.
I'm Kathy Austin, Dan's mom.
I'm Susan Brady Martin, and I like to have Dan's favorite hat.
That was my line.
Hi, I'm Jean Colleen, and I'm Dan's aunt.
Bob Colleen, I'm Dan's uncle.
Emily Ann Austin, I'm married to Dan's cousin.
Austin, I'm Dan's son. Matt Neely, I graduated with Dan and played sports with Dan.
Michelle Keeling, Dan was our best friend.
Dennis O'Malley, Dan's uncle.
Maura O'Malley, Dan's aunt.
Jack O'Malley, Dan's favorite cousin. Kevin O'Malley, Dan's cousin. Jack O'Malley, I was very good friend with Dan.
Jessica Alexander, Dan's aunt.
I'm Kate Baldino. I never actually got to meet Dan, but I've heard wonderful stories about him.
Maura Brennan, Dan's cousin.
Tucker Blackmore, Dan's buddy.
Blackmore, friend of the family. Dean Kennedy, friend of the family. Philip Halligan, friend of the family. Kristen, Coach Collins. Just former coach.
Okay, Chris and Justin, come on over this way, please. And Duncan, I'm going to have you stand right here. And say, or let's see. I'm going to put you guys just to his right. So right hand and left hand, just hold up. Just up. You'll hold this, please. There are 14 lines in the plaque that we had made, and we have the photograph of Dan, and these will be displayed side by side in our faculty honors area. And we've got 13. Yeah, we've got. We're going to. Each person's going to read one line, and we're going to run out toward the end, but it's going to be space for that minute. So just one line at a time. Just one line and the next line.
Dan, 1989.
Education trainer in her profession.
Coach of football and cross. Third Ward High School, class of 2007. And in special education, review 2020.
Chosen by those who knew him best and loved him most.
Courage doesn't always roar.
Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day.
Whispering, I will try again tomorrow.
The honors accomplishments is more than loss of the way of country.
got a little bit mixed.
We honor his accomplishments and mourn the loss of the life coach. Sue Selk, if you'll make yourself known. Okay, I'm going to have you go with Sue, and Sue's going to open up the library so you can see the display area, and you'll place the plaque and photograph on the wall for us. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
The rich promise of Dan's career may be glimpsed in the reflections we're about to hear about a teacher who lived and thrived through a long career at our school. In honor of our Technology and Engineering Education Department, we formally recognize John Cassay as one of our legendary teachers. As such, he joins Charles Abraham, Jack Strauss, Fern Tetro, Nick Natalie, Bob Gillette, Colleen Kelly, Joe Cron, Marie Hayes, and Andy Bednarik. Their first introduction is by son and now our colleague, Johnny Cassay.
All right. Good afternoon. As Jim just mentioned, my name is Johnny Cassay. I now teach here at Fairfield Ward, and it is a great honor to introduce my father, John Cassay, as a legendary teacher here. He taught woodworking for 30 years, starting his career in Seymour, but spending the majority of his career right here at his alma mater in Fairfield. Through the 90s, he stepped away from teaching to raise his children, myself, my brother, and my sister, for 8 years. He returned to Fairfield High School and gained a following in the woodworking program. On occasion, we would visit our father after school when he held open shops, his students working busily on their projects, and when there was a lot of when there was downtime, our father encouraged us to make our own projects. In the space, we observed our father at his best. He set high expectations for those teenagers. He was engaging. He was patient. He was straightforward. We saw our father build connections with students. We witnessed his ability to empower students as he taught a new machine or guided them through a tricky build. Our father scaffolded his lessons before scaffolding was cool. He pushed project-based learning before it was a buzzword. And his demeanor with the students helped develop the whole child, not just in an academic sense. Over the years, there have been students' names who have come up at the dinner table when he spoke about what they have accomplished. It was obvious he was proud. His goal was to provide lifelong practical skills through the production of quality woodworking projects. Our dad's efforts were clearly visible at the annual end-of-the-year shop show, where students proudly displayed their jewelry boxes, bedside cabinets, coffee tables, grandfather clocks, futons, roll-top desks, and the list goes on. Every so often, our father re-meets former students he had previously, and they remind him of the positive effect he had on their lives. He's impacted over 1,000 students throughout his 30-year career, and the love of teaching and learning has rubbed off on my siblings and me, as we are all teachers as well. I am proud to introduce my father, John Cassay, as a legendary teacher here at Fairfield Ward High School. Thank you.
One more introduction, this time from a former student, Arnie Thorpe.
Hello and good afternoon, faculty, family, and friends. My name is Arnold Thorpe. I am a self-employed, semi-retired cabinet maker from Oxford. I grew up in Seymour and was educated in the school system in Seymour. Growing up, my father always had a small shop and tools, hand tools, auto body tools, power tools, spray equipment, you name it, my father had it. So since I was a young boy, I was able to use whatever tools that he had. As a freshman at Seymour High School, all I could do was to walk past the wood shop and dream of what could be built in there. Shop class wasn't offered to freshmen at that time, but in 1978, my sophomore year, I could finally take wood shop. It was that year I met John Cassay, the new shop teacher. My first year taking wood shop and John's first year teaching. Being this was a beginner class, we started with the basics, including safety and proper use of all the power tools. As mentioned earlier, I had already been working with tools. My dad had power tools quite a while. At home, there weren't too many rules to follow, if any. John's shop, on the other hand, we had multiple pairs of eye and ear protection, even fancy shop coats. I was not used to that. Thinking back, it was hard working with hand tools to square a board or cut a board to length, and never mind hand cutting miters. I had been used to using my own equipment at home, power tools, hand tool, radial arm saw, and building projects at home. John was extremely patient and understanding with me and in my desire to build more and use the shop as much as I could. I would come early to school, work through study halls, or even stay after school just to get in the shop, building something with my hands and just to smell that pine. John made friends with my parents and others at events held in the wood shop. All of our works of art were on display for everyone to look at and showed off our shop and ongoing projects. In my senior year, John and I drew plans for an office desk that I wanted to build. When I told him I was building it for my girlfriend at the time, he said, "Are you sure you want to give away this beautiful piece of furniture when it's done?" I was sure. Actually, I was positive. And throughout high school, there were a lot of tough decisions to make, and John was one of the easiest, most compassionate teachers to talk to. He gave me solid advice, and I always looked up to him as a positive role model. After my graduation in 1981, I started night classes at the wood shop just to be able to use the bigger stationary machines, mainly the planer and the bandsaw. At that time, I only had a small shop in my parents' basement where John would often stop by to see what kind of projects I was working on. In 1988, I broke ground for my first house. The 2,400 square foot basement would be my first and very own wood shop. At that time, John and Patty had started building their dream home in Seymour. We visited each other and checked on each other's progress often. John asked me if I would be interested in building their kitchen. Of all the people that they could ask, they asked me. I was humbled to say yes to them. And John also asked me to be a judge here at Fairfield Ward for his woodworking shows. While at those shows, it was awesome to see that John still had the same compassion and same passion for helping his students that he did back when I was in school. In 2018, my wife and I were at the local snack bar, and John and Patty came over, and they got real serious, and they said, "We think it's time for a change." He said, "Well, there's nothing wrong with the cabinets that we have in the kitchen now. You know, the bevel edge countertops are beautiful and the chrome moldings are real nice. Everything's working fine, but we'd like to update." So they still wanted to use the cabinets in the basement, so we took them out and put them in the basement. So without hesitation, I said, "Of course I'll build a new kitchen." I was excited for the opportunity to show them what more I had learned throughout the years. The only hitch, John said, "We would like you to use the wood that I reclaimed from the Seymour High School gym bleachers." John knew by looking at those bleachers they were built of solid pattern grade mahogany. All the planks were at least 12 inches wide. These mahogany boards were transformed into a beautiful kitchen. Hearing about the adventures of the Cassay family always brightens my day. Keeping in touch, even after all these years, is a testament to John's ability to stay connected and make a positive impact on others. To this day, I can still call him or stop by for some words of encouragement or advice. The only time I can remember when John really wasn't on point with his advice was regarding that desk. As it turned out, I didn't just build the desk and give it away. The girl became my wife. And now my son, who's 33, sits at that desk and uses it today. He even has pictures of my grandkids on it. In closing, I would like to thank John for being an outstanding teacher, his family for being a great inspiration to me, and the faculty here at Fairfield Ward for giving me this opportunity to honor John as a legendary teacher.
Thank you. Sit, relax. Tough act to follow, let me tell you. Can you hear good? We're good? Gotta put the glasses on, first of all. Make sure I have them. First of all, I'd like to thank my son Johnny for his wonderful words. And I know also that my other two children, Joe and Christiane, also contributed to that as well. They've made me proud throughout their lives, and they continue to make me proud every day. All three have joined the family business as teachers, and they're all enjoying their public school jobs. Why they became teachers? I don't know. Go figure. Arnie Thorpe, my original A+ student, he's made himself a career as a professional cabinet maker. His work, vision, and ability are truly outstanding and top-notch. I'm proud to have learned from him and have him as a good friend over the past 42 years. Thank you, Arnie. Above all, I want to thank my wonderful wife, Patty, who inspires me every day. She's supported me with her love, her help, her dedication throughout my career and my family life. Her behind-the-scenes work on this particular event, they're quite secretive. They were very secretive. They didn't go unnoticed, though, and I truly thank her for all she has done and continues to do. To Jim DaCosta, the Legends Committee, my former colleagues, administrators, friends, I also say thank you for your guidance, support, and your belief in me and our woodworking program. Tonight, you've all made a $20 guy feel like $1 million. When Jim called me 2 years ago to let me know of this event, I was quite surprised. And actually, I was quite shocked. For the first time in a long time, I was speechless. I know I uttered out the words wow and thank you, but after that, don't remember. It's an incredible honor to be mentioned alongside this group of true teacher legends, many who have influenced me during my career, the likes of Bob Gillette, Charlie Abraham, Andy Bednarik, Joe Cron, Rick Natalie, to mention a few. Wow. I must say, however, that I have been surrounded by many great teachers along the way. The old-timers, Walt Torno, Elmer Kish, Teddy Merrill, Jim Connor, Pete Troop, and so many others have made contributions to the industrial arts and tech ed programs throughout the years. They've inspired students for decades and advocated for the continued support of the programs. I salute them, and I thank them for their help and dedication. As many of you know, I've been a woodworker and have taught woodworking at the high school level for more than 30 years. I developed what has basically been a step-by-step 3-year program when I first started teaching over in Seymour. Over the years, I've made additions, changes, and improvements to provide a safe, thorough, and enjoyable program for my students. Though project-based, there's much more to our woodworking program in terms of learning. And I use the word "our" when it comes to the woodworking program because it was not just my program. Though I did lay out a basic direction, there were many people that have contributed, including fellow teachers, former teachers, friends, family, and especially students. Their help, advice, suggestions, and even mistakes have all played a part in shaping our woodworking program. Before I describe the program as Jim DaCosta had suggested, I'd like to share a little bit about my background, some of which has affected my philosophy and my teaching style in the classroom, or the shop as we know it. I grew up in Fairfield on Black Rock Turnpike, the eldest of 4 children. I shared a bedroom with my younger brother, while my sisters shared another in our 3-bedroom ranch. We had what we needed: 1 bathroom, 1 car, a TV, a clothesline, and a double sink in the kitchen, 1 for washing and 1 for drying. Life was good. My mom was a stay-at-home mom who kept the house in shape, did the cooking and cleaning, and kept us on task academically. She was the key to our academic success. My dad was a blue-collar worker for Sikorsky who had quit school in the 8th grade. Left school in the 8th grade to help support his mom and dad and their 9 children. Though relatively uneducated, he was one of the smartest and ambitious people I knew. In the days when throw it away was unheard of, Dad could fix almost anything: toasters, bicycles, windows, leaky faucets, cars, you name it, and he'd figure out a way. He had the ability to recognize the problem, think up a solution, and utilize his handy skills to solve that problem. I watched and I learned, and I carried some of those same abilities and skills and beliefs into the shop to share with my students, because not every kid was lucky enough to have a father like mine. Did I mention that he built his own home? I went to Holland Hill School, kindergarten through 6th grade. I did 7th grade at McKinley, 8th at Fairfield Woods, and finished up 4 years at Andrew Ward High School in 1974. Throughout junior high and high school, industrial arts courses played an important role in my life. After high school, I went to Central Connecticut State College and became an industrial arts teacher 4 years later. My first teaching job was at Seymour High School in the town of Seymour, which I now call home. It was there that I taught woodworking and developed and implemented the program that I used throughout my career. As I mentioned earlier, this program was project-based. Students would learn various techniques used in building a small furniture piece. First-year students would start out using only hand tools for a few weeks until they showed me that they could be trusted and were capable and ready to safely work with power tools. From then on, they learned to safely operate table saws, band saws, joiners, planers, radial arm saws, and most other power tools in the shop. They learned various techniques of cutting, gluing, nailing, finishing, as well as basic drawer construction, spindle turning, and basic joinery, all en route to completing a little 2-drawer project. And this is the project we have here. Some people have probably seen a million of these things. But this is a foundation project for me. It was for 30 years. It's loaded with different techniques and different joints and construction, drawer construction, a little bit of spindle work, a little bit of scroll work. It had a lot of different things involved in it. Difficult, very difficult project for a beginning student, but I always told the kids that if they could build something like this, grandfather clocks, hutches, all those things are not out of reach. So this was a very foundational project for me, and it worked well for many, many years. In the second half of the first year, students would learn the basics of cabinet construction. The project was a bedside cabinet. It included an overlay drawer, a raised panel door, and a solid wood top. Each student had their choice of wood and finish. Some of the more ambitious students made a set of 2, one for each side of their bed. In the second year, students would continue learning new techniques and operations while building a leg and rail style coffee table. This table would include a third type of drawer made this time with the more challenging and classier dovetail joints. Options included 3 styles of legs and 2 types of tabletops, solid or inlay. Tops were often inlaid with tile, glass, mirror, or different types of wood. While working on this table, additional projects were required each term. Students learned how to build and then completed a picture frame, a small jewelry box, and a small bowl which is actually turned on a lathe. With all these requirements, there was not much time to waste. The 3rd and 4th year gave advanced students the opportunity to design or choose their own major project. Having learned many operations, techniques, and procedures in prior years, they had also developed many skills. It was then time to put it all to use, on their own, with a little guidance, but less teacher input. And they did. Dressers, dining tables, hutches, cabinets, hope chests, deacon's benches, grandfather clocks. These were just some of the projects built, finished, and brought home by the advanced students. Although they did develop woodworking skills, there was so much more they gained that could be applied in other aspects of life. Such things as organization, planning, hands-on skills, proper tool use, proper machine operation, maintenance, housekeeping, safety, sharing, problem solving, self-confidence, ambition, dedication, and belief in one's abilities. It's not just about the wood. It's also about providing for the future. I strongly believe that given the proper tools and fundamentals, students with a bit of ambition and a belief in their ability will be able to help themselves not just in woodworking, but in many other areas throughout their lives. I hope that I've been able to impact my students in a positive way. Over my 30-year career as a woodworking teacher, I've been very fortunate to be able to do a job that I loved. Not only did I get to teach a great bunch of kids each day, but I also got to work with some of the finest people in this educational system. I taught through an era where industrial arts programs were changing in Connecticut. In many towns, woodworking courses were being dropped, cut back, and often replaced by computer-based tech ed programs. Fortunately for many of the students at Warde, ours stayed strong and continue to be supported by the administration and the Board of Education. I believe this is due in part to the visual promotion of the program. For me, it was important to showcase the students' work whenever I could, whether it was a display in the library, hallway, classroom, a student-made furniture, and other projects brought attention to the program and its students. The annual student project exhibit that we held at the end of the school year brought in many parents and townspeople and opened their eyes to our students' ability and success. We often had newspaper reporters doing stories on our program complete with photos of students and their work, and I'm proud of my students and what they have accomplished. I do hope that the school system will continue to support our tech ed programs and give our students the opportunity to develop and appreciate hands-on skills and lifelong abilities. I realize that most of our high school students probably wouldn't become cabinet makers, carpenters, or full-time woodworkers. For those that did, I hope that I've been able to contribute, and I hope you find your careers successful and rewarding. For those students who found another career, I hope that you too still have a fondness for woodworking and utilize those woodworking skills in some manner. I also hope that you'll use your other skills, abilities, ambition, and belief in yourself to be successful and accomplish more than you thought you could. Thank you all for your kindness, your support, your friendship. This is truly an honor and the pinnacle of a rewarding career. Thank you. Now I can see them.
It's audience participation time. So Patty, John's invited guests come forward, and every member of our, we got to get the name right, Technology and Engineering Education Department come forward. So I need Patty, John's invited guests, and the members of John's department. And Patty, just stand on this side. Now what's going to happen is you're going to pull this off together. So you put your hand here, and John, put your hand there. Wait a second, don't pull it off yet. Okay, John, put your hand on the shoulder. Okay, hand on shoulder, hand on shoulder, right on shoulder. Just put, make contact with the person so that we've got the chain. Hand on shoulder, hand on shoulder. One hand on him. Okay, John's now going to reveal his nameplate with Patty's help. Go for it.
3, 1,
2, 3.
All right.
All right. John and Patty invite us all to a reception back at their house in Seymour. The address is in the email from last week, or you can tag along in an old-fashioned caravan. On behalf of Paul, who is very supportive of our program, and this is the first time we've had major enthusiastic support for our program, we are now dismissed. Hello again. Now that you've seen some of what we've accomplished here at Fairfield Ward High School, if you're a teacher at a different school, whether private or public, or if you're a member of a PTA or just somebody who would like to institute this at your school, please reach out and contact me. My email address will be right across the screen. Thank you.